quite sure if I can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time, but while I'm out here cutting, I wanted to do a quick video about tractors. We got this Branson last year when we bought the property, and the main reason we did is because it was a brand we were familiar with from Cave Creek. We had a small compact Branson tractor in Cave Creek, and it really worked out great. So we found a dealer when we got here down in Leona named Epperson, great folks, and bought a 55 horsepower tractor, utility, cab, air conditioning, the works, and was really happy with it, and quite frankly have been happy with it ever since we got it. But what we soon found at a time in the economy where it was really difficult to find anything, used cars, farm equipment, inflation was going a little crazy at the time, at the beginning, and we found that 55 horsepower wasn't necessarily enough to run the size equipment that we needed for our property. So we ended up having to scurry around to find a disc hay cutter, which I'll show you in a second. That's only 6 feet long. Most people run anywhere from 9 to 15 feet. And so cutting hay like we're doing this morning is a pretty slow going process, because I'm doing 6 feet at a time. You can see the disc cutter laying down the hay right now, and think about 6 feet at a time times in this case about 12 acres. And so basically plan for an entire 8 to 10 hour day to do this. And so anyway, initially I thought not a huge deal. You only do it 3 or 4 times, well, three times a year, times a couple different pastures that we have. This one's the biggest, and wouldn't be too problematic. The other side of that is once this process is done, we have a big 20-foot hay rake. Hay rake's a hay rake. You don't really need to, it's not being turned by the PTO, so you don't really need to do anything high horsepower with it, so no problem there. And the baler was the big problem, although it's turned out to not be a big deal. But we could only find one baler through Massey Ferguson that could accommodate anything under a 50 horsepower PTO. And so we ended up getting that one, about $30,000 for the baler, which was a lot more expensive than I thought for a smaller 4x5 baler, but that has proven to work out just fine. The main problem we have with cutting or haying in general is what I'm doing right now, and that's cutting, laying down the hay, and it just takes forever. And so I've been contemplating and looking and researching, and we looked at Mahindra, because there's a shop close by, and neighbors run Mahindra, and they're happy with it. And I looked at Massey Ferguson because we're really happy with the Massey baler and Massey cutter that we have that I'm using right now. But something was kind of telling me to run into the United Ag Shop, where they are a dealer for John Deere. And long story short, boy was I impressed. These guys are very professional, tons of inventory, which nobody else really has. They really want to get down to what it is that you're looking for and make sure that they can accommodate it. Their service and warranty, I think, is unmatched from anybody else. They, for what was shockingly low price, got a 5-year warranty, everything, bumper to bumper. And that includes coming to the ranch to do service calls, which is good because we don't have a trailer big enough for the tractor that we got. But I'll do another video when it arrives. It'll be here in a couple weeks. It's a 75 horsepower 5075E. It's kind of the entry level of the bigger cab utility tractors, but we didn't want all the electronics and some of the fancier stuff. And they also gave us a really good trade-in on the Branson, and kind of have some, I don't know if it's all smoke and mirrors, but kind of some loyalty stuff where they say, hey, if you're trading in another brand, we're going to give you more to get you into a John Deere, which I thought was pretty cool. The process, the sales guy, everything, just a really good process. So I never thought I'd get into a John Deere. Always thought they were too expensive, and they kind of have a little bit too much pride in their brand. But I was wrong, and I'm really impressed and anxious to get it. So I'll do another video when it arrives and kind of walk you through a couple things about this particular tractor, this 55 horse Branson. Really, it doesn't do anything less than the new 75 horse John Deere's going to do. Just smaller, much lighter weight by about 4,000 pounds and lower horsepower. And so with the new one, I'll be able to run a 10-foot hay disc cutter like I'm running a 6-foot now. Then we also bought a 12-foot shredder just for mowing large areas that don't need to be hayed, which will be really nice to have because I'm running a 6-foot shredder on the Branson, and everything just takes a day and a half to do. So, but as far as the Branson itself, I mean, you know, nothing that it doesn't do. It's just a little bit undersized. Look, I don't know if y'all can see that, but 204 hours, so relatively pretty new, which helped in the trade-in. This is a 16-speed manual. The new one's a 12-speed manual. I'm curious to see how that is. A little bit wider ratios, maybe easier to drive. I don't know. Some of the other stuff in this will be transferred over to the new one. Like this is the panel for the baler that hooks up to the baler with all the sensors. It tells you when to wrap it and when to drop it and kick it and all those good things. And so this will just move over into the John Deere. But anyway, I thought some of you'd be interested in all of this. And I guess that's it for now, unless I get bored sitting out here for 10 hours. Maybe I'll do another video about some random nonsense. Until then, adios. Alright, here's the next day. Been pretty busy around here. And we were super worried about how thin this pasture was. It looked pretty good, and then I cut it yesterday, and my gosh, there was just hardly anything. But as you can see, this windrow to our left, it's not horrible, and I'm really grateful for that. Let me show you the rake, what it's picking up. It looks like it's picking up a little less on this particular row than it did on the first one, but here's what we got behind us. Normally it's 3 times, I'd say, that size, and so it's pretty sparse. That's the result of the drought this winter. And why does that matter to us? Well, we have about 38 bales cut right now, and rolled and ready to rock, and we need about 65 to 70 to be safe. So normally I would get 30 from this particular field, and I'm just guessing, although I'll update y'all when I'm done, but I'm guessing I'm only going to get about 10, maybe more if we're lucky. So that gets us to close to 50. And then I've got front pastures of 10 acres that are kind of full of weeds and all sorts of stuff that hopefully cows will eat. And we'll do that between now and end of October, assuming we get some kind of moisture, because this is just drying out on us. But anyway, we're learning so much. And last year when we had, oh goodness, I can't remember the numbers now, I'm going to goof them up, 15, 20 inches of rain last summer, I just figured that was kind of normal. And then this summer we went 100 days without anything, and this is the result of it. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but that's the last cutting of the north side of this pasture from from a couple weeks ago. We got about 20 bales on the ground there, and then another 20 or 18 or whatever back up at the barn, and then I'm hoping to get 10 today, and then another maybe 10 or 15. So hopefully we'll be in good shape. God always figures out how to provide. Amanda always reminds me of that. Never too soon to panic as I'm out here trying to get this figured out, but I think we're good. Another thing that's kind of cool is we'd always had so much growth in this field that I always reduced the pressure in the hay rake so that I don't get too much windrow that could possibly jam up the baler. And on this case, I cranked that baby from a 1 to a 7, whatever that means, out of 10, and it's really grinding in and picking everything up, so we're not losing anything. But this row's pretty weak, you can see. But I'll tell you what, this is about a 12-acre field, and that's a lot more chow than I thought was going to be picked up. So I'll update this again and let everybody know how, man, this field is bouncy. I am just sore at the end of the day, I'll tell you. Anyway, I always joke that I have to go to work on Monday to be an accountant so I can relax a little bit. But I'll let everybody know how the baling goes. I'll probably do that either tomorrow morning or Monday morning when there's some humidity and a little bit of dew on the grass, because it's just been so dry. This might have a little bit of a hard time getting picked up by the tines on the baler. And so maybe if I'm feeling ambitious, I'll do it tomorrow morning at 6 or 6:30 when there's some good dew on the ground, and it'll suck it right up, and hopefully I get 10 or 15 bales out here and everybody's happy. Anyway, adios, until next time. One more thing, I wasn't sure if maybe people would be interested in this, but this module here is the module for the baler, the control panel for the baler. That green light right there, dead center, is telling me that I'm running a square bale. If it goes to the left, I go to the left. If it goes to the right, I go to the right. That's how I keep my bale square. That over there, I'm bouncing all over, sorry, but that over there is if you want to run twine or mesh, and we run mesh. This on the right, it says kicker. There's a big garage door spring looking thing that kicks out the bale when the door, the back of the baler opens up and kicks it out. You can turn that off if you want, although I accidentally had it off one time, and I had a heck of a time getting the bale released from the baler. And then over on the bottom left, when the bale's done, you can either do this automatically and it will auto mesh wrap, or you can do it manually and feed the mesh wrap in, and then when it's done feeding, you hit the home button and it runs a blade across and cuts it. And then these are the hydraulic remotes right here. That yellow one is the one I have hooked up for this, and all it does is open up the door in the back of the baler, releases that kicker spring, and drops it out the back. Don't even need to turn off the PTO or anything. Pull forward a little bit, close that, and on you go to the next one. What else? I guess that's it. Maybe I'll roll board back here. I will talk to you again. Bye. Alright, me again. Same spot as the last couple videos. Just like I suspected yesterday when I was raking. Came out here this morning, and after the kind of moisture left the windrows, they're pretty flat. Just not a lot going on here. Here's what the baler looks like when we're going. Kind of having a hard time seeing that, and these rows are just so thin. I'm kind of having to go back and forth just to keep the bale square. I'm up to four bales right now, 4x4 size. It's kind of, we run kind of small bales because they're easier to work with, about 750 pounds a piece or so. We can roll them around in the horse barn or whatever. But anyway, I got 4 of them on the ground. Probably about 60 or 70% of the way done. So anyway, this is looks like 15 hours of work out here, maybe 10 to 15 hours of work for what's going to amount to probably 6 or 7 bales. So that is what a drought will do you for. First time kind of experiencing this. Let's see, what's that? That'll put the tally up to 45 bales, and we need 60. So I'm going to have to get creative on the front, or buy some in January or something. Anyway, this is where we're at. Looking pretty sparse back here. Good news is this field looks really nice in terms of just being cut down and ready for next year. I think it will be nice as long as the weather is more normal than this year. Anyway, that's it from the baling adventure. Adios. Hey, good morning. So the whole point of all those other videos with the old tractor and outback cutting is that we had been considering upgrading, and boy did we. super cool the way that it all worked out. I always like to kind of feel good about big decisions and big purchases, and I think what did it for us was the dealer network that John Deere has, because their service and support and warranty is just better than everybody else. But we ended up moving up from the 55 Branson that they took on a trade at a good value to a 75 horsepower Deere. It seems odd that it's only a 25 horsepower difference, because it's quite a bit bigger, but the whole point of that was to be able to run bigger cutting equipment. So you can see hooked up to it now is a 12-foot batwing shredder that I'll be using today. I'll do some video of how that's working when I'm out in the back cutting, and then really the whole point of it all was to be able to run a bigger cutter. So this is a 9.5 foot John Deere cutter instead of that 5-footer that I ran before. So I'll be able to cut in probably half the time. Heavier tractor, ballast in the wheels, can go much faster even on a bumpy field, plus the bigger cutter. So I am just absolutely thrilled. Probably won't be doing any cutting with it until spring. Maybe do a front pasture to try to get a few more round bales. But anyway, I just love how this thing looks. Probably going to keep the Massey Ferguson baler. We'd probably lose our shorts on a trade-in, and the John Deere balers are really expensive, and this one's worked fine. And so I'll probably just keep running it. No problems. Probably only have about 100 bales through it, and so that's got another 20 years of service that we'll just keep on cranking. But anyway, a couple of add-ons that we did to this. It didn't come with a right side door, which I think is weird, because oftentimes when you're out doing what you're doing, you got somebody handing you in tools or frosty beverages or whatever. And so we got that added on. And then the other thing I had added on, oh, and isn't this exhaust just cool? I mean, come on now. The other thing I had added on to this was the buddy seat, which seems kind of silly, but it is nice for Luke or Amanda to be able to come out, depending on what you're doing, for hours and hours, and spend a little bit of time, or for that matter, to teach Luke or Amanda how to drive it and do stuff. But basically all the same functions in the Deere. Some unique things. The lighting is much better. The external lighting, LED lighting, is much better. Just different connectors, different attachment hookup, kind of proprietary Deere stuff that's pretty cool. Regular air conditioning, stereo, all the stuff that we had in the other one. And this one's a 12 speed, the other one was a 16 speed. I don't see that as being a big deal. Back window open, side windows open. No windshield wiper on the back, which we had on the other one, but rarely used it. So anyway, quite an upgrade, and I'm super thrilled with how it all turned out. And she's just super pretty. I'll take another video this afternoon when I'm out using the shredder for the first time. Adios.